It's an interesting day in the world of Magic the Gathering as we have another Double Masters 2022 leak, and on top of that, some brand new Judge promos to talk about as well.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for some magical goodness. Not only are we going to dive more into the Double Masters League, but on top of that, we've got some brand new awesome looking promos to discuss. Now, let us start with the sequel to the Double Masters League. I'm going to put an image up on the screen for you guys. This is an image that was sent to me by the person who actually got their hands on these cards. An individual by the name of John Terry is the one who did so. He sent me an email giving me background information about the situation. It says, "Hi, I'm the individual that opened the Double Masters cards. We purchased them locally in Bedford, Texas at Generation X Comics. Unfortunately, I didn't record the opening. I went back today and purchased a second box that contained Double Masters cards as well." And so this image that he sent me, you will see, includes every card that we saw in the initial leak, and additionally came with the extra cards that you see on the screen. Now, unfortunately for John, while the box did kick up a whole bunch more Double Masters cards, it really did kick out a ton of duplicates. So when you take a look at this image, you'll notice that almost every single card from the first batch was duplicated in the second batch. There are three exceptions to this duplication. The first is Mentor of the Meek, which is 1 white and 2 for a hilarious 2/2 human soldier that says, whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 if you do draw a card. My favorite part has to be the flavor text though. "Today's the last day you'll fear sewer crocs, Garg. From now on, the sewer crocs will fear you." And you can see in the artwork, you have this little goblin with his glowing blade, and you've got the mentor. I just love the fact that you've got this little goblin who's all afraid of sewer crocs, and it's like, "You will no longer fear them. Here is your blade. I shall mentor you," right? This has a very heavy Boros feel to it, obviously, from the artwork. The other two exceptions are Golgari Rot Farm and Orzhov Basilica. So as I said in the previous leak video, it looked like we were going to be getting the entire cycle of the Ravnica bounce lands, and here we are, right? They come into play tapped, make you return a land to your hand when they come into play, and tap for a black and a green and a black and a white respectively. The Golgari Rot Farm showing off literally a rot farm where they're growing mushrooms and fungus, and the Orzhov Basilica showing off a religious interior of their church where you will stop by to give them all of your money. Because if you didn't know, the Orzhov want money so badly that you even have to pay them after you become a ghost. So, those are the three new cards from this particular leak. And in case you're wondering why I use the term leak here, basically it's shorthand for any sort of way that cards get spoiled that were unintentional, because Wizards of the Coast certainly did not intend for this to happen. Very cool on that vibe. Now, another thing to note about these leaks in particular is they come from Baldur's Gate collector boosters, and these cards appear in the exact same location in every single pack. So if you do get Baldur's Gate collector packs and you have this issue with them, you will find these cards located right after the beginning volley of garbage foils. Every collector pack you open will have a bunch of foil commons and uncommons at the beginning that are almost always trash, and the rest of the cards after that are where you find the goodness. So that's where you're going to find these cards in Baldur's Gate packs. Now, I remember when I did the spoiler video covering all of these originally, that some people said these cards may be fake. Why do they not have the little hollow foil stamp on them? And the reason for that is these are going to be incredibly common for the Double Master set. Essentially, when you buy like your collector's packs, there's going to be 5 of these per pack. So these are going to be low level whatever uncommons, in terms of double masters. These are going to be your, all right, I got cards that fall into this category, but they're no big deal. So these are authentically coming out of genuine Magic the Gathering packs. These are 100% genuine double masters cards. They're just not high-level rares. They're not special. I understand when you've seen the box toppers and stuff like that, you see the little holofoil stamp and you go, okay, that's how we know these are the special ones. But these are genuinely authentic Magic cards. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind now. After seeing the recording where it's literally being opened, you go, okay, there it is right there. So, that being said, let us move on to talking about the brand new promos that the Judge Academy is going to be releasing, because they have picked some very juicy subjects. The first one we're going to look at is Training Grounds. Now, I want to let you know that what you're looking at here is a mock-up. So, we've been told the cards we're getting, and we've been shown the artwork. But the Judge promos look different than this in that they will have a little owl face stamped down in the text box, and the wording will be updated to match current wording. On top of, there's also a possibility of different flavor text and stuff like that. So what you're looking at on the screen right now is a Training Grounds that's originally from the old Eldrazi block, right? That we've just slapped the artwork onto so that you can appreciate it as a full card, right? Training Grounds is a really powerful enchantment. 1 blue, and it says activated abilities of creatures you control cost up to 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana and ability cost to activate to less than 1 mana. It'd be pretty bonkers if you could just go, hey, look, this normally activates for 1 or 2. Now it's 0. I'll do it infinite times. Now, the concept behind this flavor-wise was the idea is the Eldrazi set that this came from, the Rise of the Eldrazi, had the level up mechanic, right? So your creatures are beefing up in levels, and this was meant to be, oh, look, we've reduced the cost to level up your creatures. It's Training Grounds. They level up faster, right? So it ties together in a flavor way quite nicely. And the artwork here that they're showing us totally looks like it comes from the Kamigawa vibe, right? When it comes to art like this, I feel like they don't really commission new artwork and just kind of pull some slush art they have kicking around they were going to use for a different card, but it really does fit here. If you look at this, you can go, oh yeah, I could see this as individuals training, and I just love the fact that you've got the one of these samurais is down on the ground, like crouched forwards, right? And you've got this kind of like symmetrical asymmetry where you have the other samurai who's leaping into this spin, right? And the action of both of their movements is being captured by the fluttering capes that are flowing, right? So you've got the one that's curving up towards its opponent. You got the other one that's curving down towards its opponent. It almost, in front of this window, gives you a somewhat yin and yang style vibe. Do you know what I mean? That black and white symbol with the sort of like the 2 tiers that are intermingled. It's got that sort of a feel to it overall. Honestly, I find this artwork to be really inviting, and ultimately, it is a home run to me. And a great choice to include as a promo. All right, the next one we're going to look at is actually a flip card from the Ixalan days. Growing Rights of Itlimoc, otherwise known as the Baby Gaea's Cradle card. So 1 green and 2 get you a legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it into your hand. You put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, transform Growing Rights of Itlimoc. The front of this card isn't what it's all about, right? It's about getting to the other side of the card and flipping it. So it's really just, yo, here you go. We're gonna let you look at the top 4, grab a creature so the card's doing something when it hits the board, but ultimately you're waiting to hit that majestic flip. The artwork is fun because you can see you've got the growing rights that are actually taking place. You have a little set of dragon's eggs. You've got the one dragon that's bursting forth from the egg as the magic is just emanating outwards, this sort of nature nurture magic. But you also will notice that there are a ton of little seedlings that are sprouting up out of the ground as well. That's actually being caused by the magic on top of it. So when we flip it over, it turns into Itlimoc, Cradle of the Sun. a bonkers legendary land that either taps to add a green mana to your mana pool or taps to add a green mana to your mana pool for each creature you control, which, as everybody knows, is the Gaia's Cradle ability. And if you didn't know, Gaia's Cradle's a super old Magic card that if you want to get one now, you better have like $1,000. So this is a pretty close approximation you can get for a much smaller price tag, right? And the artwork, oh man, does it tie amazingly into the original artwork. I love that we've got the dinosaurs hatching out of the eggs, we've got the sprout, here we go, and then we switch into now here's the full-on Cradle of the Sun, right? Because in the original artwork, it looked barren all around, and now we're living the lush life. You're running through this dense jungle forest craziness, and you have these dinosaurs. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3. Is it 5? Are there 5 in there? Because there was 5 eggs in the original artwork. But you can see that the one in the lead is like the biggest. He's probably the first one who like broke out of that egg. I love that sort of continual storytelling across the cards. This time lapse where here we go. Here's the growing rights of Magic. This whole island, or at least this area of it, has been made into this beautiful paradise as a result of this green nature magic. You know what I mean? When it comes to thinking about the underlying concepts of Magic and what is most appealing, blue mind magic is incredibly appealing. Exploring the depths of your own consciousness and other people's minds is incredibly appealing, but also kind of muddy and messy. But when it comes to like green nature magic, just the idea of growth and nurturing the natural cycle and everything is incredibly appealing to me. So the idea of learning these rights where you can not only grow the natural creatures that live nearby, but also create this land that's so vibrant with life that instead of like a regular forest, and regular forests, you got to understand, are teeming with birds, squirrels, all this kind of stuff. They've got so much life, but a regular forest will only produce 1 green mana. This place is so in harmony with nature that every single heartbeat that like pumps in this place, it connects to and it draws extra power from it in this massive bounty of nature. How can you not love it? Also, I just want to take a second to give credit to Carly. I asked her to edit these mock-ups for me, and you would never guess that this is not the actual card. She did a really good job, because the backside of the card where they do the treasure stuff and everything, it gets a little weird with this frame. She did a bang-up job with the editing on that. Now, let's move on to the next card, which is Smothering Tithe, a card that obviously has become insanely popular in Commander, right? When it first came out, it seemed like it kind of got ignored, but then it rocket shipped to the moon where people are like, bro, I gotta have this card. It's obnoxious. I've played against this just in standard games, and it's obnoxious. 1 white and 3 gets you an enchantment that says, whenever an opponent draws a card, they may pay 2. If they don't, then you get a treasure token. So basically, it's like every time you draw a card, I'm going to accelerate in mana or get another artifact, depending on what my build is. It's really, really obnoxious. It's going to, oh, do you want to draw cards? I don't know if I want to draw cards. Oh, do you want to pay the mana? It's just, oh, and all the triggers and everything as well. I mean, that part's annoying. At least when you play in paper, you don't have to deal with that aspect of it. But I like the different concept. The previous Smothering Tithe we saw was somebody's mouth open and coins spilling outwards, which is horrific in its own way. Like his ability to talk almost is being smothered by this tithe. This is a completely different variation where this individual is literally being smothered under a tide of gold coins. And I like it because this actually continues the same idea that DuckTales brought along, in that somehow gold coins can operate like drops of water instead of the crazy metal they are. You ever watch DuckTales and Scrooge McDuck like jumps into his vault full of gold coins, right? And just swims around in them? If you'd break every bone in your body if you tried that, right? So this guy sinking down into the gold coins like that through magic, that's an amazing concept, right? And this has to be happening very rapidly, because if it wasn't, he'd already have suffocated, right? So his hand reaching up there would already be limp and off to the side. But I like that it's the contrast of the original, where it's coming out of the mouth, and this one is simple again, with just one part of the body, the hand reaching up like, help, pull me out of the quicksand, pull me out of the water, save me. The guy who's smothering Ty that is just runs up and high fives to the guy. Hey, enjoy the end of your life, pal, and just runs off. Thanks for all the gold, son. You know, this is a really good choice of promos. People are going to be really stoked about it. Anyhow, that wraps up the news for today. Thanks for coming by, my friends. Big shout out to my patrons, and I will see you all in the next video.